We're here at the Urban Hive with some recent attendees of Startup Weekend Sacramento that was held last November. And this is the winning team. Guys, do you want to introduce yourselves?
Sure. I'm Drew. Do you want more of an introduction?
Sure, whatever you want.
Let's see. I'm recently back from grad school. Actually, the first weekend I got back in town was a startup weekend. Software developer and master of physics.
Awesome.
I'm Sean Berry, and I just moved out here a few months ago from Dallas, Texas, and that was my first startup weekend. I'm on the business side of things along with my partner here, Donte.
And how you guys doing? I'm Donte Morris, and first time at Startup Weekend as well. And I met these guys the first weekend, and been here ever since.
Okay, great. So, if some people don't know, Startup Weekend is an event. It's 3 days. It happens over a weekend, and people pitch their ideas, and winning teams get selected for those ideas, and people gather around those ideas and work on that idea over the weekend. So one of you pitched the idea for a startup called GoHalfway. You want to talk about, and I think that was Sean, right?
Yep.
Sean, what was the inspiration for the problem that you wanted to solve with that idea?
I guess the pain point was I have a girlfriend I left behind in Dallas, and I still wanted to see her, but with a limited budget, being a professional, I also want to go travel the world or at least see some new places in the United States. So the idea was to have the best of both worlds. So the idea behind it was traditional online travel agencies and aggregators, the kayaks and the Google Flights and sky scanners, they only take in consideration an origin and destination and then some dates, whereas maybe there's a new way to tackle this problem. Maybe you take into consideration multiple origins, and you leave the destination up to chance in a way to I guess meet whoever you're trying to meet wherever at. So
like you're here and your girlfriend's in Dallas, you could both fly into Denver at a cheaper price, possibly.
Yep.
Than you going there or her coming here.
Yep, cheaper or comparable. So you can go, for example, in the case with my girlfriend and I realized we could fly into San Diego or Denver or Los Angeles, and maybe one other interesting place I can't think of. That was the idea behind it. I pitched it as, it was called Rendezvous, but I didn't even spell it right. And I figured that, whoever might be our early adopters might not be able to spell it right either. And it became Go Halfway, and I was very fortunate that had a couple people, Drew and Donte, both jumped in on it.
So talk about that a little bit. How did the team coalesce over your idea? Friday night you pitched your idea. Mm-hmm. You had a group of people latch onto it, and you worked on that over the course of the weekend. How did that coalesce? And how did the roles evolve and that kind of thing over the weekend?
Yeah, sure. So how the weekend starts out is, everyone's encouraged to pitch. So naturally, most people get up there and they pitch, which is awesome. I think about 30 or 40 people. It was the longest line ever. And I was in somewhere in the middle, and there were a lot of really good ideas there. And after everyone goes and pitches, you have a number of stickers you can give out to kind of vote for the best idea or what you are partial to or what have you. And mine, I remember it to this point, I had 6 stickers, and the cutoff was 7. 7 and higher were selected to be ideas, but then they said, well, hey, if you can get at least 2 other people to work on your idea with you, then you can make that a team and continue on with it over the weekend. And I was very fortunate enough that I think I remember it was Drew and then Donnie, who actually works here at the Urban Hive. They came over, and then it kind of just snowballed from there. And I was really fortunate to have some people choose to dedicate their 54 hours of startup weekend fun with me. So I don't know why they joined. I still don't know why. It's just a good idea. It was a good idea.
What inspired you guys to join this team? What motivated you?
Well, actually, I pitched the idea myself. I had a baseball idea, And I actually had like 8 stickers, but it was the whole part of finding people that want to join and do the project. So it was coming down to like the 12th hour for me, and I looked and I was like, okay, like everybody kind of forming up. And then I saw these guys over there, and it looked like they had a pretty solid idea, solid team, and I just saw the chemistry from the start, and I figured that'd be a good experience to start. So it's kind of why I joined.
So you saw the chemistry of the team forming was what motivated you more than, say, the idea?
Yeah, because I wanted to work for 54 hours. I kind of want to work with some people that I'm compatible with. And
right.
It'd be fun to do, rather than just as a winner. And I just wanted to have a fun experience out of the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Drew?
I wasn't quite on the same reason for that. I sort of thought, this is an idea that we could do over the weekend. I thought we could actually have something physically done, more or less the idea in MVP, the minimum viable prototype. And so I saw that, and I liked Sean after talking to him. There was, maybe 5 or 10 minutes after the pitching during the sticker part or just after, where you go around and actually talk to the various people. And I talked to a few, but I liked Sean the best. And the idea,
so you did some vetting. You did some vetting, auditioning. Yeah. You're like The Bachelor. Kind
of is like that in a way. Yeah.
So after you guys formed a team on Friday night, you got down to work Saturday morning. How did you guys just kind of go into your individual roles, or did somebody kind of assign roles? How did all that evolve?
Yeah, so we kind of developed the scope the night before. We had like an hour or two, I want to say. Everyone I had done a tiny bit of research leading up to it, like, all right, like, does this exist, yes or no? And then where are people pulling the data from, the flight information? So I sent, the flight information, how it's kind of pulled some links to, Drew and, Chris and Donte. And I said, hey, can you guys please read this tonight? And then for the rest of us on the business side of things, it was, all right, let's, we need to think of some survey questions for tomorrow morning, because we need to start gauging who our market fit is going to be, those early adopters, and that's kind of, so we've kind of had 2 groups, but we always made an effort, throughout Saturday and even Sunday to, all right, let's cut things for a second, or in 30 minutes or an hour, and say, hey, well, where are we both at group wise? So it's kind of, both sides of the road going at the same time, and then we'd stop traffic and kind of, all coagulate. And I think you used that word earlier.
I used coalesce.
Dang it, I was thinking coagulate. And then we both were giving each other ideas, to kind of say, hey, you thought about this, or is this a better way to do it? So I think,
yeah. It was pretty natural, I think. I think everybody kind of tend to their skills starting out and figure how could they, contribute to the idea. And like naturally people's, pick marketing or business or admin or development. And then that was kind of like our first day. And our second day, we just kind of brought it all together, and we just kind of came up with a central idea with the mentors. So it was pretty, successful, I believe.
So what are some highlights from the weekend for you? Or some key lessons learned? What was great about it? What would you like to have seen that could be improved? I'm asking since as an organizer of the team, actually, also, or of the weekend.
Let you guys go first.
I think the food was good. Like, you guys, y'all was on point with the food. Like, I think like every hour or something, it was y'all.
Yeah, his mom thanks for that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was solid. That was good, because that it kept the long days going, and it was nice, and it was just cool just to be in that environment where you have different groups working on the same goal. And it was just kind of unique to see as an experience. So that was like definitely the good parts.
The mentorship was really awesome. We had three I think mentors come and talk to us, and it helped evolve our idea beyond just originally we're just going to make a travel site to we're thinking, hey, maybe we can offer this to other businesses through some API thing. And this helps, get our instantly huge numbers of users that these other services already have.
So you did a little bit of a pivot based on what somebody...
Right. Not huge pivots, but...
Yeah. I would definitely agree with, both that. Food was on point. And then the other thing is the mentorship. I mean, because I think when the mentors kind of came in, we had already, had only a little bit of sleep that, from the first night and the second night. But they always came in at good times where, you're sitting there and you've already been cranking at it for like 8 or 9 hours. And for most of us, that's what we're used to working. So you're already kind of like run out of brain juice, and they come in and they're putting you through exercises, and you're really like challenging you and your idea. So they were a lot of help, and they kind of got us to go, okay, well, we didn't really consider, that angle of approaching things. It was all really beneficial at the end of the day, all the mentors. So yeah, I like both of those things.
Good to hear. So you won Startup Weekend, and now the honeymoon's over. That's a month gone, and you're still continuing on with the idea. How's it been going since the weekend is over, and you're a month now into it? Are you still pursuing this? You all have jobs, and you're just pursuing this part-time. Mm-hmm. How's that working out?
I think it's working pretty successful. Like, us really communicate almost like on a weekly basis. We on Slack, so our line of communication is open, and we're just trying to find our path of, really taking it from an idea to a reality. So I think, us staying in constant communication and planning it out is going to lead for us to being successful, I believe.
Is this something each of you are working on every day, or is it just kind of a few hours a week?
Probably like 10 or 15 hours a week for me. But so I'm forcing myself to learn new programming languages to do this.
Okay.
I'm learning Python because apparently that's what I need to do instead of C or Perl, which no one likes. Right? That's the reaction I get when I tell people.
I like Perl. I don't even know what it looks like, but I'm for it. It just seems like kind of like counterculture, in the programming world, so I dig it.
But so it's great learning for me too, on top of actually moving the idea forward. And so at this point, I'm really taking sort of what we had at Startup Weekend, which was, very cobbled together code, to being more fleshed out in a production setting.
Is that what you're focusing on? You had an MVP at the end of the weekend. At least it looked like it on the demo.
Yeah.
So are you focusing on the product to flesh that out a little bit of it, or marketing or business development? What's your focus right now?
Yeah, so the first focus was, okay, we won, and we were fortunate enough to win, and we were fortunate enough to get a lot of nice benefits. So credit again to your team for piecing all that together.
And the sponsors.
Yeah, and the sponsors, of course. Yep, thank you, Rack Department in Aptology. Stoll Reeves, everyone. We'll be meeting with you Thursday. And, so the first thing was, all right, let's make sure this doesn't just sink right off the bat, because that's, I did my research on it going into it the weekend, everyone has a good time and everything, but then people get bogged down and just the silly things, just things that are just so frivolous for a company that's not even real, yet. So we actually met here in this room. I think a couple of days after Startup Weekend, and we saw who was in, who was out, and who had time to commit and whatnot, and we ended up with the three of us. And,
because part of the prize was this part of the prize, the Urban Hive, or is that something?
It was actually Hacker Lab, yeah. Okay. So that's another awesome sponsor. So,
but we're here at Urban Hive, and thanks for Urban Hive for letting us use this space.
Yep, de facto room. Yes. I think I saw the signs valued at $40 an hour for non-members. So thank you. So, and then since then we've been figuring out, how to strategically deploy, the winnings that we've had, and we met, with Rock Department, they're awesome. And trying to reload a little bit too, as far as some skill sets that we think we need to acquire, and hopefully bring on board. And so that there's a little bit of that, and also just. We met last night. We've met probably once a week since we've at least. We pitched another time. There's been some things.
Oh, yeah?
We pitched at Hacker Lab probably 4
days
later.
That's the Startup Hustle.
Yeah, Startup Hustle. Yeah, so that was pretty cool. We got some good feedback, and we've been just kind of not necessarily cruising, but we're doing this very much part time, but a lot of work still going into it and stuff. So.
So it's all self-funded, bootstrap right now, essentially with your time.
Right.
So what are some of the biggest challenges you're facing or seeing as a brand new fledgling startup?
I think one of it is once we had the process of Startup Week, we was forced to be in a room for a certain amount of time. I think if we could, have that time all together, if we have maybe 2 straight days where we could just work, I think we'll be a lot more productive and moving forward. But it's life happens, and everybody got jobs, holiday season, so it's kind of tough where everybody could be full focus. But I think if we get back in that hub to where we're all locked in, come in one day and just get everything done, I think we could really focus on the idea and start making things happen.
Mm-hmm. You guys agree?
Yeah, that does sound.
Focus. You have a chance to focus and dedicate your time to it.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, life. It's a lot of obligations and stuff. So you're 100% right on that.
So is it difficult staying motivated, working on this just part time, or is exciting enough the prospect of it that it's keeping you going? And what's keeping you going?
I think the prospect of it maybe working out eventually. I think we all sort of expect it to not work out just by the odds of a new startup. And I think that's sort of helping me. It's like, well, I can do it, so can keep going, and that's a good part of it. And plus, like I said, I'm learning a new skill set, so that's just gravy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the biggest thing for me. It's the learning aspect. You learn a lot about yourself and a lot about how you work with other people, and it's a new space. It's exciting. I mean, as far as we know, this doesn't exist out there, and we have a hunch that it could be, potentially worthwhile. So, I mean, it's kind of cool. It's fun, and I definitely look forward to working on it and stuff like that every night. So.
Yeah, it's more like the why not factor, So we could think about it, I figure why not to be out there. So that's what kind of keep me up at night, keep me thinking about ideas, and thinking it's real possible to do. So that's what just keep the motors running.
So aside from, I'm kind of wondering what resources would be helpful. And the obvious question or the obvious answer is going to be money, of course. Everybody wants money, everybody wants funding. But aside from that, what kind of resources do you think would help your team most? Is it mentorship, whether it be mentorship or a space to work out of, or I'm kind of wondering, what can the startup community here in Sacramento do to help you succeed?
That's a good question. I don't really think that money would be the first thing we'd even go to.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, I think we're very much in the mindset of bootstrapping as long as we can. The main thing is the manpower. We'd love to have a front-end developer, or maybe, something along that lines. We definitely, are lacking in that regard. And then the mentorship too, I would say. Yeah. Some people to put us through some more thought exercises and stuff. We kind of have that already with a couple, people. One of which was one of the mentors from Startup Weekend. So it was really cool that
they're continuing to help mentor.
Yeah, they really liked our idea, and they resonated with them, and so it's been really cool. We've kept up with them, and they've sent us some resources, and told us kind of how the game is played in a sense. So. Yeah, those are my things. I mean, you guys maybe, it would be nice to have the same food setup though. So.
Yeah.
To get fed, huh?
Yeah, maybe a space would be nice to work in, but we have the hacker lab, so we've been delaying it. So we don't.
Are y'all working out of there?
We haven't yet. So we get a month out of the prize, and so we've been delaying that until January, so the holiday season doesn't sort of cut it in half. Is what we were thinking.
Yeah, I agree with these guys. Space, mentorship, and just like some sort of structure from like an experienced person that done it before. Just kind of tell us, guide us in a way of kind of going through this journey. I think it will really kind of speedline us.
So are you planning to apply to any other programs like Startup Hustle or Founders Academy, any of these other kind of accelerator, incubator kinds of training programs here locally?
Yeah, so we have a free membership to Startup Hustle. So Eric and them are gonna. I think that starts up in January, the new class. So we'll definitely be taking advantage of that. And then from there, it's there's some really interesting things happening here in Sacramento. IO Labs coming to town. I think there's a pretty well-known accelerator that's attached to them. It hasn't been released yet, but it's really interesting. I mean, definitely, I think the biggest thing for us is Sacramento is a great place to live, and it's also, it's you have a lot of tech talent out here too.
So you're not tempted to go off to the Bay Area?
Oh no,
we're planning to keep it here actually.
Awesome.
Yeah. I mean, we have our roots here, and the community's been good to us, so why would you mess around with that, I would say. So.
Okay. What have you found is the biggest rewards of entrepreneurship and doing this? You've mentioned learning. Is there anything aside from the learning aspect? Or?
I think just like I wouldn't meet these guys, you know, if I didn't go to Startup Weekend. And actually, I found it like on a Tuesday and I attended on a Friday. So it was
really?
Yeah, it was just real random, and I guess that's a good part of it because you know, if I said I wouldn't go, you know, I wouldn't have this experience. I wouldn't have been part of a good group, and this is like just a whole new wealth of knowledge that I've learned already. So I think that's one of the benefits of entrepreneurship, just having that ability to just go and try something, and you end up with, you know, a lot of knowledge and a lot of friendship too.
Yeah, for me, really, the community has been amazing. Just everyone I've met around here, they're always interested. I don't really feel like anyone's trying to sort of steal our idea or be cutthroat at all, which I hear is different in the Bay Area startup community. I really enjoy it. Meeting people is great. Like I said, I just got back from grad school, so I'm sort of regrowing my friend group out here.
Yeah, I'll agree with both of those things and say that I've been coming to Startup Grind and some other meetups and stuff like that for the previous months before Startup Weekend, but now coming to it, I'm coming from a different perspective, a different lens. I'm actually like an entrepreneur, in a sense, and it's kind of cool. It has a new meaning. Yeah, exactly. It has a whole new meaning and a new take on it. It's like I don't know. It's not like, it's definitely not like a good analogy, but when people say when they have like their first kid and they're driving home, like the whole world's totally different. They're like really scared about all these cars, and there's like a baby on board sign in the back. Like it's kind of the same thing. We have like our own I guess kid in a way. We're trying to grow them. It's fun doing it.
Well, it is. It's your own creation, right?
Yeah.
So you've got to feel a sense of attachment to that. Yeah. So I think I mentioned to you in an email that I thought it'd be cool to do perhaps a series of interviews over time to see how you're evolving. So in that regard, let's ask now, where do you hope to be 6 months from now? What do you just dream? What would dream, and then realistic maybe, where you expect to be?
That's a good question. Let's hear it. Actually, you guys go first.
All right. So we actually talked about this. We met last night.
Yeah, last night.
And so we think sort of in that time frame we can redeploy our MVP, but in a production setting. So it'll be what you saw at Startup Weekend, but it won't crash if you type in websites that have flight or too many flights or something in there. We sort of had to cherry pick for the demo, but it still worked. But this would actually be launchable in some sort of beta setting where we would invite a few people to try it out, and it would really forward to whatever United or something, Skyscanner, or wherever we end up going with, to book your flights through us, or not directly through us, but referred by us. And so we think that could probably happen in 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah, my idea is I'm sitting back on the computer looking at Google Analytics, and I'm seeing how many people view our site per day, per hour. So 6 months, I see us already being launched and already having consumers come on our site and booking. So I think that could be feasible too.
Yeah, my dream would be, again, just a combination of both of theirs, having the site live and a bunch of people going on there. And dream come true would be just it gets viral somehow. And you have a lot of people using it and spreading it around. More so the spreading part, I think, would just be really cool to see it just, the brand, can see where it kind of ends up, and hopefully people, adopt it, and then they come up with their own kind of interpretation of what they want it to be and stuff. And then and then how we iterate off of that. So, getting it out there and stuff is obviously going to be awesome. Hopefully we get it done, on our own timeline, but, then getting the kind of, where it goes to the next level. There's so many ways we've theorized what we could do and how we would do it and that sort of thing. So.
Okay, well, let's plan to meet up again in 6 months or so and sit down and see where you're at.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks guys.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
And best of luck.
Yeah, thank you. We need it.